welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the inaugural Public Health Hero Award presented by the Texas A&M School of Public Health. As one of America's premier research universities, Texas A&M looks to promote excellence across the state of Texas. With our student body exceeding 62,000 students and a research portfolio in the top 20 in the nation, Texas A&M is widely regarded as one of the world's best institutions for higher education. But there's something even more important than that. Just last year, we were ranked number 3 in the country for contributing to the public good. For 140 years, Aggies have rolled up their sleeves and got the job done. Our history is rooted in agriculture and engineering, and our modest audacity means that no job is impossible has helped us change the world. In presenting this award, we're looking for someone with the same values and work ethic. I joined Texas A&M just about a year ago, coming from the beautiful islands of Hawaii, where I had led the public health program for the last 8 years. Together, with many other dedicated people, we moved Hawaii to become the healthiest state in the nation for the last 3 years. Unfortunately, the great state of Texas ranks number 34. Not so good. People born in Texas today can expect to live 3 years shorter lives than those born in Hawaii. One of my goals since coming to Texas is to make our great state America's healthiest state. And that's one of the reasons that we're here today. The environment that surrounds us is one of the greatest contributors to our health. The air we breathe, the water we drink, all have direct effects on our health. There's also a close relationship between time spent in nature and our mental health. The devastating effects of climate change, including more severe storms, flooding, and drought, have already been seen here in Texas. Researchers here tonight from my school are studying these problems. Natalie Johnson is exploring in utero exposure to air pollution and how that can lead to the development of asthma. Brenda Sharma is studying how supercharged iron can disinfect polluted water and make it safe for drinking. Do you know that 2/3 of the world's water is not going to be potable within 20 years? This is essential and important to our lives. Mr. Crow and I have been talking this evening, and we both have a strong affinity for Asia. I myself have been to China 18 times, love China, and anyone who has ever been there in recent years cannot explore the ever-present air pollution in every major city. You know, it's omnipresent. You can't breathe. You're wearing a mask. It's awful. A recent public health study estimated that 4,400 people die every single day from air pollution-related effects in China. So think about this. This is 3 people every minute, every day, every year. This is unacceptable in a civilized society. Really something we need to change and change quickly. So last summer, Clay Hanks, where's Clay? Clay, he sent me this picture of Mr. Crow on stage at Earth Day, Texas, with 2 of our students. Jairus here is one of them. Here it happened to have been here. And he said, Jay, take a look at this. You know, this is your public health students on stage Earth Day, Texas. And I'm going to admit the ponytail threw me off. You know, I'm thinking another liberal tree hugger. Just what the environmental movement needs, thank you. But Clay's like, no, you don't get it, Jay. You don't get it. He's like, Earth Day, Texas is the only place where Greenpeace and Mobil Exxon come together on the same stage, where the business community is brought together with the traditional kind of liberal tree hugger community to actually work on these issues together and say this is an issue of national importance, not of a subgroup. And he said, you know, Mr. Crow is a business-friendly Green Republican, and that caught my interest. I'm like, okay, there's something here. There's something I need to know more about, because I'm a firm believer that public health in Texas needs Texas-style solutions. You know, at one point, being a conservative also meant that you believed in conservation. And, we look back to the 70s. I'm born in 73. Back when I was born, Nixon was signing the Clean Air and Clean Water Act. And, this was about Republican values, about conserving our earth. It wasn't political at that time. It was the right thing to do, and everyone did it. And I think it's time to bring that back. It's time to say this is not a political issue. This is something that all Americans believe in. And when we did this video that we're going to see in a minute, we heard about Trammell Sr.'s and his love of trees, and how that affected Trammell Escrow's life. And I was delighted to hear about that. And last week, I got up to the Mill Creek Farm, and what an amazing place. And I hope everyone's been there. I mean, so amazing. And I brought my two sons up there, and they were running through the woods and playing in the ponds. And I thought to myself, this is what we're here for, right? This is why we do the work that we do. It's for the next generation, and leaving this world in a better way than we took it over. And I think that's so important. So, Mr. Crow, you've made huge strides in bringing attention to the importance of protecting and improving our planet here in Texas and throughout the world. And we're delighted to show you this video now of your friends and colleagues talking about your work and the impact that you've had. So if we can roll the video, please. The importance of preserving the environment was instilled early in Trammell Crow's life by his father, whose name he bears.
Trammell S. Crow, his father, Trammell Crow also, was one of the early founders of a program in Dallas, a foundation in Dallas called the Dallas Trees and Parks Foundation. That subsequently became known as the Texas Trees Foundation. I was invited by Mr. Crow's dad to join him in working with the foundation, the purpose being to plant trees throughout the city of Dallas and even beyond that into North Texas and in some instances across the state. His father had a real passion for trees and passed that along to Mr. Crow, to Trammell. And as a young boy, he and his dad would go out in the backyard and on weekends and look at trees and talk about trees and talk about the environment. They'd do that at their farm down in East Texas. And so Trammell came by his passion for the environment very naturally by working with his dad.
Little did his father know the impact those days on their family farm would have on his son's life. But that was only the beginning. The year was 2005, and TXU, a multi-billion-dollar energy company, announced plans to build new coal-fired power plants in Texas. Coal is the dirtiest of all fuels used to generate electricity. Calculations indicated the new plants would generate 78 million tons of carbon dioxide each year. Trammell Crow, along with the Hotel.com founder Dave Littman and Container Store founder Garrett Boone, were strongly against the TXU proposal and joined forces to fight it, creating Texas Business for Clean Air in the process. They enlisted 300 business leaders and helped derail TXU's fast-track plans by advocating against the project at the Texas legislature.
When we met, we realized that there were a lot of environmental groups opposing this, but to go to the legislature and basically advocate for not doing this required, we thought, a business-focused group. And that had never happened in Texas. There had never been an environmental and business-focused group historically. So Trammell leading forward like that with Republican businessmen was hugely important because that just had not been done before, and nobody had really presented the environmental case in a way that conservative Republican business leaders could accept. But they could accept this message. It made sense. It was hard for anybody to say, you know what, we're for dirty air. We think it's really good for children. We think it's good for employees, and we think it's good for the state. I mean, nobody thought that was true.
In 2010, Crow was walking down the Champs-Élysées in France with his children when his next environmental initiative came to him.
Well, I'd like to tell the story that I finished this one project with environmental work, my first, and I realized that that's what I was going to do next. I'd waited all my life to involve in my passion. And so specifically the way it happened was I was with my kids on summer vacation in Paris, and we were walking down the Champs-Elysees. And it just occurred to me, like kind of how the ideas come, that would be the project. And also, having worked at the Dallas Market Center here in Dallas with the apparel show, the furniture show, and so forth, I was aware of the effectiveness of convention, of Congress, of visitor outreach, bringing people together, of programming, and primarily of expo, of creating display.
Crow believes strongly that if businesses contribute to environmental problems, then businesses, even more than government, need to be a part of the solution.
In so many places, there's still, I'll say, a liberal attitude of the opposition of business and environment because they're dwelling under old conceptions.
He'd been to Dallas's small Earth Day Dallas in downtown Pegasus Plaza, where he found a few hundred people milling around a dozen or so card tables. After convincing the city to let him reorganize the event, with only 4 months of planning and a small staff, Earth Day Dallas was held in the Dallas Arts District in 2011. Attendance increased from 1,000 people to 48,000, with about 250 booths. In 1 year, Crow transformed a tiny, city-run street fair into one of the largest public green expos in the world, but he was just getting started. Within just a few years, Crow expanded the reach of the event by changing the name from Earth Day Dallas to Earth Day Texas. He hired his close friend Michael Cain as executive director.
I actually came on as the executive director as we made the transition from Earth Day Dallas to Earth Day Texas, and it went from 5 employees to 12 employees. And we had a great year in 2014. The attendance went up 40%, the exhibitors went up 12%, and we really began to see his vision, just that this would be a world-class environmental expo.
Today, under Crow's guidance, Earth Day Texas focuses on encouraging businesses to become more environmentally responsible and recognizing those with achievements to share. He has created the world's largest annual forum for sharing the latest initiatives, discoveries, research, innovations, policies, products, and corporate practices that are reshaping our world.
Greatest contribution that I see that Mr. Crow's working on is making awareness that climate change is real, but his skill set that is unique, and I haven't seen this with any other individual, is the ability to bring diverse groups together. It's the only venue that I'm aware of, Earth Day Texas, is where a group like Greenpeace and ExxonMobil and higher education, K through 12, all come to the same event.
Too often, we get caught up in political dogma, and it becomes an argument over philosophy instead of an educated discussion around approach and opportunity. And where I think Trammell has done an exceptional job is leading on getting out of that political dogma and talk about where are we doing well, where are there opportunities to improve, and let's recognize the great things that industry is already doing, but then let's also talk constructively about where can we all improve going forward.
What Trammell has done is so important is he's basically made it okay for Republicans to address environmental issues. I mean, it's not, he hasn't convinced the whole country yet, but he's working through Earth Day and through other events he holds all year long to allow Republican leaders to advocate for measures that will deal with climate change, will deal with carbon dioxide pollution, and will also address other environmental concerns. I mean, so he is kind of the Pied Piper in the country doing that. And it's very, very, very important, and I know it's very passionate to him. He is literally the most important environmental investor, I would say, in Texas right now.
The 3-day free event, held in April, will have approximately 1,500 booths and forums that bring together environmental organizations, businesses, government agencies, speakers, interactive programming, subject matter experts, and academic institutions.
We have more colleges and more high schools and other schools than any other green expo in the world. And Texas A&M is the first and the foremost, and really the biggest and best college exhibitor.
One of Crow's most interesting environmental endeavors is on the campus of Paul Quinn College, where he has helped fund the transitioning of an unused football field into a community garden.
Like, I love what he's been doing with Paul Quinn College, and just think that that's, an incredible role model for philanthropy. The Food for Good program in Dallas, Texas, and PepsiCo, they connected with Paul Quinn College because Trammell made the first donation to turn the football field into a garden. And at that time it was a series of like 20 gardens that he was creating in the food desert that is South Dallas.
We were in the process of turning the football field into the community garden when, because of relationships that Trammell had at Pepsi, and people become a bit intrigued in Texas when you find out they're turning a football field into a community garden. And they came, and literally the folks from Pepsi were sitting at this table where we are now, where we came up with the idea to turn the whole football field into an organic farm. Our goal is to create an urban food distribution network. That's what we're trying to do. We just don't think anyone in this era, in this city, truthfully in this country, should ever have to live with food insecurity.
Through his work at Paul Quinn College, Earth Day Texas, and numerous other events, Crow has elevated environmental awareness to a heightened level that will impact future generations to come.
When Texas A&M first contacted us about recognizing Trammell with the inaugural Public Health Hero Award, the question came to mind of why Trammell? And the answer, I thought, from the School of Public Health was just wonderful. A good environment will save more people than a good doctor ever can.
We love and admire Trammell as a great visionary, and he comes from a family of visionaries. And he has called us all to be good stewards of this great earth of which we're a part. So we salute him and we admire him for that.
He works 7 days a week, and he works 20 hours a day. And I admire the fact that he's giving everything he's got to making this a better planet. And I think when people look back at the history books and see this Republican with a ponytail who has changed the way that people think of Texas and the way that Texas thinks of Texas, particularly when it comes to the environment, that's a legacy that we can all be proud of, that will all make us live longer.
What I would want to achieve more than anything with this is for Texas to take the leadership that it is responsible for and deserves of many environmental concerns and continue to be the energy capital of the world.
If history is any guide, he is certainly likely to succeed.
Anything to stop that applause.
The inaugural Public Health Hero Award for his uniquely Texas approach to public health. Earth Day Texas is the largest Earth Day in the world and addresses the pressing environmental health needs in Texas. His outspoken leadership, including speeches and editorials on climate change, as the world's greatest public health threat, has brought attention to his subject in Texas and across the world. His inclusion of the business community to focus on health and the environment and economic concerns is critical to solutions on this issue. So, hereby offer you this. And a personal letter from the president of our university, President Young, who wishes he could be here, but it is Parents' Day weekend at Texas A&M, so they do not let the president leave. But he wanted to be here, and we'll visit with Trammell in the next couple of weeks. So, Trammell, congratulations. You've done so much, and we hope that together we can do so much more for the environment in Texas and worldwide.
Thank you, Jim. May I say a few words?
Yeah.
I don't have an acceptance speech. I have a sales pitch. come to Earth Day. When Michael ran it, you said 12% or something. Exhibitors, you increased it by 20, 30%. We were 1,100 booths last year. We don't use the word booth anymore. 1,800, 1,000 exhibitors. But what's important are the visitors. So you who clap, ye who clap. You got this. This has to make it work, and it's not easy in Texas. That's not easy in Dallas. I'm trying to think of a harder place. I really can't think of a harder city. I don't think Houston's not so hard. It'd be impossible to go through listing all the things that are going to happen. I don't even know what's a fish hackathon, but we Department of Energy, Department of State, Department of Ag, Department of. May I please recognize Mr. Sorrell, Mr. Reynos, Mr. Hanks, from the beginning of the college. Those are the colleges that have been here tonight. Excuse me, Mr. Slattery, our South Africaner. And so you gave me an idea tonight. How do we make this thing meaningful? Like this, parts of it, we don't know. And we lost Harvard, we lost Duke this year. So he gave me the idea. I ran outside, called up Jerry Hess. Then I saw Sorrell going into the bathroom. I followed into the bathroom, okay? I said, all right, well, since you're occupied, let me just tell you what I think. And then Slattery came in, and we figured it out. And we're going to have a seminar this Friday of Earth Day aimed at the professors, and we've got to find the green for professors. It's amazing when I go out of this state, the reception to this is so much greater than here. Well, in a hometown, it always happens that way. I've never seen a better likeness in my life. Thank you very much. Thank you for everybody for your help.